Oh my god, this isn't good. What on earth is this thing doing?
DJI have launched a new version of their Fly app. This is 1.15.0, allowing support for the new DJI Air 3S. But it is while I was out testing this version of the DJI Fly app with the DJI Mini 4 Pro, I encountered one of the most scary situations I've ever found myself in when doing one of these tests, or indeed just flying a DJI drone in general. During the course of this video, we're going to explore exactly what happened, because this guy nearly disappeared for good, and you can decide during the course of this video whether this was a bug of the DJI Fly app, a result, of course, of the new layout and the new feature of what I'm about to show you, or indeed, if you want to blame me, user error, more than welcome. So let's get into it. So it's whilst I was out flying with the DJI Mini 4 Pro to bring you a full review of the DJI Fly app 1.15.0 that things pretty much started to go wrong. Now, for full disclosure, what I'm going to do is post all of the changes I have found in a full DJI Fly app review in a completely separate video. But because something went quite incredibly wrong whilst testing one of DJI's new interfaces, I wanted to bring this video as a solo video just to give you that warning as to what could potentially happen if you're not paying attention. So in this video, like I said, we're going to dissect exactly what happened, show you the incident, and basically just come to a conclusion as to whether this was my fault or not. Most importantly, raise awareness so you know what you can do if you do find yourself in this situation. Now, DJI has slightly changed the way you go about things when it comes to selecting and using active tracking modes. You see, previously you just used to draw a box on the screen around a target, then it'd open up your three options: spotlight, point of interest, and active track. You used to be able to then also go into the DJI Fly app menu, where it would give you the option to turn on the subject tracking. What this would do is when we returned back to our camera feed, it would try and identify targets it thinks you might want to active track, or point of interest, or spotlight, for example. However, DJI have fully revised that entire system because that subject tracking has now completely disappeared. But now it is all revised, because rather than having to draw on the screen, all we do is tap this icon on our screen and it's automatically going to start offering up suggestions for things we might want to either track or keep in the center of the frame using spotlight, or circle around using point of interest. But it is where I was using active tracking where this really became a bit of a problem. You see, as I have switched this into the focus track mode, as you see, it defaults to spotlight. And as you can see, it's searching the frame for things to be able to track. A car enters the frame. So I think to myself, okay, this is pretty cool. It's identifying the car driving along, and it's going to offer us the chance to actually track it. If we click active track, that frees up the drone to be able to actually chase after that subject, okay, to keep it in the frame so it can simply go after it. Now, this is really, really good that this now is so much more user-friendly and accessible rather than to mess about drawing on screen, etc. This is where the drone simply goes and does exactly as we've commanded it to do. It's gone and followed that car. However, this is where the problems start to arise, because I now start to think to myself, hang on, it's getting a little bit far, okay? It's no longer really a viable shot to keep that subject in the frame. It's getting a bit of a distance away. Don't want to follow it anymore. Now, I tried to actually stop the tracking and also cancel the subject. However, as you can see, it literally ignores me. It does not cancel the tracking whatsoever. It doesn't deselect the subject. And as you can see, the drone literally just follows on, following this car. And even though I'm frantically, as you can see by pressing the buttons on the screen, as I'm frantically trying to stop the active tracking, it is absolutely ignoring me and just continuing on. And at this point, I'm absolutely thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I am going to finally lose my DJI Mini 4 Pro. I've done some pretty sketchy stuff with this thing. I've put it through its paces in a ridiculous amount of tests. I've crashed it, putting it through its paces when it first launched. But this, a completely innocuous thing, I'm just not going to see it again, okay? Quite simply because it's just following this car and it will not let me cancel the tracking or deselect the subject. And I think I have a good theory on this one, because even though I am literally controlling the drone with the controller and pointing the controller towards the drone, I've got eyes on the drone up in the sky, for some reason, as I'm flying in this high interference area, even with its mighty OcuSync 4 technology, it literally was giving us a low signal warning. And I think this low signal was not providing enough signal strength to actually send the input to the drone to cancel that active tracking, which is really, really odd because I still had a degree of stick control. So I was actually pushing the sticks, okay, to try and bring the drone back or, just move it out the way. And it was actually responding ever so slightly to my commands. But when I was trying to actually tap the screen to stop the tracking, it was utterly ignoring me. So as you can imagine, at this point, I'm now thinking, oh my God, what do I do? And most importantly, these are the moments where you really need to keep your calm, keep cool, and just think the problem through. So I immediately thought to myself, okay, this drone is tracking this car. It's going to start going beyond visual line of sight. What is the most obvious solution to this problem? So I quickly think to myself, right, let's see if we can get the drone to fail-safe return to home. Using one of DJI's built-in safety features, return to home hopefully should rectify this problem and hopefully bring the drone back to me. So what I decided to do is literally point the controller towards the ground, okay, to hopefully break that OcuSync link between the controller and the drone. And thankfully, I am glad to report that's exactly what happens. As we resume the recording of the screen, as you can see, the drone has headed all the way back to us. And as you can see initially, I'm still pointing the controller towards the drone, indicated by these green dots. So I am literally trying to regain signal, okay? But for some reason, it just would not allow me to stop the tracking. But of course, because return to home has kicked in, it stopped absolutely everything else, and the drone is returning back to us. So yeah, that was absolutely incredible and one of the most stressful situations I've ever found myself in as a drone flyer. But thankfully, due to my quick thinking and of course the built-in safety feature that DJI do give us on their drones, we was able to get the DJI Mini 4 Pro all the way back to the home point without any major issues or concerns beyond obviously the incident that happened. So yeah, just something for you to be vastly aware of, the fact that these new tracking features, well, they're not new, but of course the new way of implementing them using the option on the DJI Fly App home screen is so much easier to access, it's so much more efficient. But if you are in a situation where you are tracking and you do sort of suffer a slightly poor signal between the controller and the drone, you might find yourself in the exact situation I did, where literally I could not cancel it and potential a flyaway situation. And to make matters even worse, I didn't particularly have a huge amount of battery left either, so that was playing on my mind. But thankfully, due to that built-in return to home safety feature, as proven time and time again, these drones are almost bulletproof to the point where it's almost impossible to lose one. So for this one, thank you very much for watching. Please do, of course, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, whether you think it's a bug in the DJI Fly app, a result of user error, or of course just your general thoughts. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. See you again soon.